Hey there, this is day 8 recovery of my microdiscectomy. Some people say discectomy. That's not right, because ectomy means something and disc also means something. Anyway, hey. So, my last update was a bit panicky, and I thought about taking it down, but I was like, nah, I'll leave that up, because guess what? There's an emotional component to recovery and a lot of weird questions and details and things that you can find yourself caught up in, and I think that's natural and good to show. So, for those who didn't see it, I woke up from my surgery without hardly any symptoms of sciatica at all. I was still numb, but I didn't feel pain or anything, and the radio static kind of pins and needles all down, especially on the bottom of my foot, it just wasn't there. And then on, I can't remember what day 3 or 4 or 5 or something, it came back, and I just started to freak out. Just like, did I re-herniate? Oh my god, what did I do? I did one fucking wall sit with my brace on, and I made sure that my whole body was touching the wall, and I did it, and I don't recommend doing it. And the only reason why I did it is because I was in a weird place mentally, and I just needed to feel like I could do something. And yeah, anyway, so I was looking for a reason why. Like, why is this happening to me? Oh, it must be something I've done. And so what ended up happening is I ended up doing what they call rumination, which any person with chronic pain has almost certainly done. It's where you get caught in a thought loop where you catastrophize a little bit, like, why is this happening to me? It must be my fault. I must have done something. I'm going to search on Google for why this happened, or search on Google for anything, and you end up reading stories and stories and stories, and it just fuels even more anxiety, and it just becomes a vortex. So I realized that that's what was happening. So I said, I'm not going to do any more Google searches on this. I'm not going to look at any more YouTube videos on this. I am going to do 2 things. I'm going to send my surgeon a message and ask him his opinion about, like, just saying, hey, my symptoms have come back. What does this mean? And see what he says. I also give myself the latitude to ask Reddit. So I posted on the sciatica subreddit. So those 2 places, and I got pretty good answers from both. A qualified answer from my surgeon, and also just anecdotal information from people online. And what they said, or I'll start with what he said. What he said is, yes, it's totally normal to have old symptoms come back and even some new ones. And this is just going to be on the fritz for a little while. It'll come and go and hopefully taper off with time. But you're on week 1 of recovery, so don't worry about it. Just do the best you can. And the anecdotes were pretty much along the lines of your body's still experiencing trauma, and the nerves have a kind of a memory. So, like, my nerves have been used to being in pain for the last, 6 months. So sorry, my brain just dropped out there. Yeah, my nerves have been used to, they've been conditioned to expect pain for the last 6 months. And so while everything's sort of just coming online and my body's restabilizing, that feedback is still happening. And anyway, that calmed me down a bit. It's like, no, it's not. It doesn't mean I did something really super wrong. It doesn't mean that it's going to last forever. And yeah, just trust the process, trust the surgeon, trust the system and all of the professionals who've given you advice up until this point, and trust that you'll be able to make it through it too on a personal level. So I was like, okay, I told myself all that stuff, and I even drew a little dot on my arm just to remind myself, look, I am human, and humans do make mistakes, but also random stuff happens to them, and just accept my own humanity and just let the pain be when it comes, and deal with it as best I can. So yeah, anyway, what's kind of cool and kind of neat is that after backing off of this, I was vigorously like trying to massage the pain away, and I just had to be like, no, massage doesn't work, physical therapy didn't work, we already know where this is coming from. This came from the disc that was bulging and pressing on my nerve, and that disc isn't there anymore. And I did something, like, I know the exact position that would trigger that nerve the most, and I know I'm not supposed to lean, but I think the emphasis is leaning forward. If I lean back and to the right, it would have sent me into, like, I'd curl up on the floor before, and I can do it now. Even just tenderly, just a little bit, like that nerve is not being pinched there anymore. And so, I mean, that helps me reground myself and be like, I dropped the phone. Helps me reground myself and just be like, yes, the problem is actually gone. I'm just getting echoes of what the problem was. And what's cool about this is after I stopped trying to hyper focus on it, I've noticed that it's different at different times during the day. Every day is a little bit different. Like this morning I woke up and it wasn't there. The sciatic pain wasn't there. And I was like, oh, neat. And I walked around and I did stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like the system clicked on. I was like, oh, there should be pain here. And I was like, oh, I guess we're on the fritz now. And then, it was like that for like an hour and then it went away. I was like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not that I put my leg in a certain position. It's not that I did any sort of thing to trigger it. It just happened on its own. And it's like, that's just kind of interesting to observe and just be like, I see what's kind of happening here. Is not something that I'm conscious of, but something that my nerves are conscious of, is being like, oh, there should definitely be a pain here. And that's how nerves talk. And and they do that for a while and then it just goes away. And it's not something that I can control. It's not something that I can even fully understand, but it is something I can observe and be like, Anyway, I find that the less I stress about it, the less often it happens. Or maybe the less often it seems like it happens, I suppose. Anyway, today's been good. I'm going fucking crazy because I'm stuck in my house. I went to the grocery store and walked around the other day, and that was neat. Cars are awful. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to arrange my seat differently because, dear God. I'm not on any heavy narcotics, so I'm cleared to drive. I know other surgeons recommend people don't drive at all, regardless of the narcotics. My specific surgeon said, you're fine to drive just as long as you're not like doped up. So I don't know. I'm still being cautious about it. I only drove like across the street, so we're gonna have to see how that goes in the future. But yeah, if you suffer from rumination, it's very hard to interrupt that cycle of catastrophizing, but try and talk yourself through it, talk yourself down, and just set some hard boundaries. Like, don't allow yourself to Google your way into a fucking panic attack. Anyway, I'll hopefully have some cool updates later. Walking around feels really nice, feels really good, and it's February and I'm tired of doing figure eights in my kitchen, so hopefully I get to drive somewhere soon so I can like walk around, I don't know, a mall or a park. It is fucking February, fuck parks, I don't know. We'll figure it out.